Hi everyone, and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is July 17th, 2015. My name is Lynn and I'm your host. And you can see we're trying something different yet again. I'm here in the studio at my mother's house, and I'm going to go for 2 hours if the technology allows us, because I am in the mood to quilt. I want to block everything else out and just get down to making this disappearing pinwheel block. For anyone who's new to FiberCast, you know this is all about just several of us getting together to quilt and make progress. We usually do it for 60 minutes. Tonight we're going to try and do it for 120 minutes. I owe you guys. I'm sorry about last week and the technical difficulties. I was down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and just couldn't get a good signal. So with any luck, we're getting a good signal here from the island. So let's jump right into it. Barring any unforeseen stoppages, meaning if the Missouri Star Quilt Company doesn't tell us to stop, we are going to make the disappearing pinwheel quilt together for anyone who would like to. And the idea was dreamt up a few weeks ago when we thought we would make a quilt, all of us the same quilt from around the world, whomever dials into FiberCast and is looking for a new quick project. And we voted on 5 types of, actually we took your input on blocks that you would like to make. And then we all voted on 5 different ones. Storm at Sea, Irish Chain, Disappearing Pinwheel. You knew I wasn't going to be prepared for this. What were the other 2? Well, and the other 2 that we voted on. And you can see on Facebook that actually a lot of them got similar votes. Oh, you could choose any of the above. And oh, and then we had Churn Dash. So I think those were the choices. Anyway, after voting, 43 people voted. We had a couple of write-ins, and the Disappearing Pinwheel from the Jenny Doan's website from Missouri Star Quilt Company won. So that's what we selected to do. Now, of course, overnight, and with my sister's advice and consult, she asked if Jenny Doan had approved it, and I did not know. So this morning, I sent them an email. I told them what we were up to, and I asked if it was okay, and I have not heard back. So I'm just going to keep going, and I am excited. I'm not going to give instructions because that's on the video. And the link to the Jenny Doan Missouri Star Quilt Company Disappearing Pinwheel video is on my Facebook page. And you can look at it, and it's well worth the 9.5 minutes to look at it. And so I'm going to follow those instructions. And basically, what I'm making is, this is the block. So that was a lot of preview for this disappearing pinwheel. Isn't that cool? I love it. So we're actually going to make 30 of these. And the way to make them is, it's a trick, and I have made the steps of each trick right now, and then for the next 2 hours, I'm just going to keep going. So basically, what I've decided is I have 30 10-inch gray squares, and then I went with my mother to the Heath Hen Quilt Shop here on the Vineyard, and I picked up Amy Butler's Free Spirit Violet package of 10-inch layer cakes. So that and this are going to be my colors, and I'm excited. And for those of you who have seen on the website, I think some of you already have this actual layer cake that you're thinking of using. I know some of you are doing other disappearing patchworks. Can't wait to see those. It's just meant to give us something to do together and to share. So before I turn this on, and I'm really encouraged, I have to tell you, I'm very encouraged that the webcast is still working. Yesterday I did a test, and about this time it faded out. So far so good. So in order to make this patch, again we want to make 30 of them. I start out by sewing 2 of these pieces together, literally around the perimeter. So I'm going to put them facing to facing, right side to right side, meaning. And I found my 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I have been pinning them on these couple that I tried. And then I literally go all the way around. And you'll see I've given us enough space so that I'm even going to stand up during this FiberCast. It may not be the best looking, but that way I can get more done and we'll have more fun. So you can see I have my Brother machine here. It's good. I have to admit that it's not like my Bernina, but it's a good travel machine. And I have so much to update you on. You want to get it to right at the 1/4 inch. And to tell you the truth, I thought I had updated everyone yesterday on my test run, but then it didn't record. So basically, I have a lot of things to update you on. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks since we've talked. It's been the beginning of July. Okay. So there is step number 1. And this is such a cool little trick. So now I have 2 pieces sewn together with a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. Then what I do is I put it on my cutting board and I cut it on the diagonal. So let's put that one over there. Like I say, I did each step of this. So I cut one on the diagonal, and I have, now I'm going to make a big pinwheel. So you'll see I have several of these going. And with any luck, I won't mix them up. I won't. I think you're really going to like this. This is another clean design. And I have to tell you, I am thoroughly enjoying using brand new fabric fresh off the bolt. Everything has a time. We talk about this all the time on FiberCast, that there is a time. Everything has a life cycle. And I think scrappy quilts might be going on the... I know this is breaking news, but I might be over scrappy quilts for a little while anyway. Okay, so see the pinwheel that I've created? Here's another one that I've already sewn together, ready for the final step, which is where the magic happens. So pretend I've sewn this together, and I'll come back and do this after I show you all the steps. Then what you do is you measure the total square, and my squares have been measuring 12.5 inches. Yeah, that one's a little bit big. No, that's right. 12.5 inches by 12.5 inches. Divide that total into 3. So for me, it's about 4 inches and 1/8. And then divide that in half, because that's what you're basically going to divide this into 9 pieces. So literally starting from the center, I'm going to cut down 2 1/16 on this side, 2 1/16 on this side, 2 1/16 here and here, and I end up with 9 pieces that I'm going to rearrange. And I'll show you. So let's put that over there, and this. And now, if you can see this, I'll show you what happens when you cut it into 9s. And then how we rearrange it and we sew it back together. So can you see this? This is the pinwheel. I measured 2 1/16 inch off of this center seam, and I cut. 2 1/16 inch off this seam, and I cut. 2 1/16 off this seam, and I cut, and then I cut there again. So that now we have 9 pieces that we're going to re-sew together. And here's how. I'm going to turn my solid inward and then turn the print inward, and it makes a pretty pattern. Isn't that neat? And now I'm going to web them together. So I'm literally going to sew those down, then sew those on, and then web them. And I'll show you what I mean. And I'm expecting to run out of bobbin any minute now. But I'm ready. I have another bobbin ready, or another spool of thread ready. So I'm just going straight down here. I'm going to go down one more. Now when you see Jenny Doan's video, she has a great border trick too. You can make this whole quilt with 2 layer cakes. And I think I just heard a ding, even though it's really early. Let's see if anyone is out there. Ah, it's a Twitter retweet. Never mind. Okay. So there's the first webbing. Now I'm going to put the second webbing here. And I'm trying not to be too bothered by whether the seams match. This is more just, I'm going to make a summer quilt, get the top done, something different, something fresh that we can focus on. Because as you know, this has been quite the summer, and we are still in the midst of dealing with everyone's health issues. Okay. Not to mention working and living and doing everything else that comes with life, as everyone out there knows. So there. So now we're webbed together. Now we're going to sew it. Sew these seams. Oh, I'm liking this one. How stunning. By the way, I will understand for those of you who maybe voted for a different quilt. Go for it. If you want to make one of those other 5 or any of them, go for it. And send us pictures or post them so everyone can see them. It's just so fun to see what everyone is working on. And I can't tell you how pleased I am that so far so good the broadcast is working. Ay, ay, ay. I said to my mother last night when I tried the test and it didn't work, I was exasperated is the word. And I'm sure people who know computers better, the workings of them, would not have these problems I do, but it just seems as though they just never go away. And I know you guys don't want to hear me complain, but I was exasperated last night, and I think you'll laugh at what I told my mother. I told her if it wasn't for my 970, what was then 2 is now 4 followers I would throw in the towel. That's how mad I was at the PC last night. But a good night's sleep cured it all. And what I believe was happening, because we were getting the error resolving host issue on Google Chrome, because that's what I broadcast from, I believe what was happening is my Wi-Fi booster that we just installed here a month ago, because you'll remember last summer we had no trouble broadcasting from here. In fact, the signal is better than at home, strength-wise, at home and at my sister's in Pennsylvania. But what I had done was last year I broadcast from my mother's deck, which is closer to the original router. This time we had a Wi-Fi booster, and I'm now in her garage. And so I believe what was happening was Google wasn't sure which, I don't even know if it's an IP address or which host to look at, and it was getting slowing down the page loads. So what we are doing is we are broadcasting from the original router with no Wi-Fi booster, and we're living again on the edge. I'm nesting my seams so at least they, where I can. There we go. Well, I do believe we can declare this a finished disappearing pinwheel. Now I'm going to cut off the extra, the little tails. I mean, you really can't go too wrong if you're starting out with pre-cut 10-inch squares. So that takes a lot of the error out of it. And guesswork. Oh, there we go. I know I said I would stand up, but I'm kind of chicken to stand up. We haven't done that very often on FiberCast. Once I get to cutting, I will have to stand up. Yay! Block number 2 is done. Oh, and look at, isn't that going to be cool when they're together? So why don't we get this one. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my show and tell here for the top of the 8 o'clock hour in case, for people who dial in then, we'll do another run through of how to make this block. So I'm going to save those as examples, and then I'm literally going to stand up and cut this one. So this is one that I've sewn all the way around the edges, 1/4 of an inch. There we go. Don't you just love all the processes? I love quilting. Okay, so now I am just, ooh, this is a cool fabric. As you know, these colors aren't my normal colors, but think I'm going to like it. It's going to make me feel young. So there's that. And who doesn't need a little dose of feeling young? Okay, make sure, this is one tip, make sure that you always put your pinwheels in the same rotation. Meaning, if you're always going to have, well, how do I describe this? For me, I'm always going to have the lower corner of this pinwheel be my fabric. So it's never going to be gray there. I'm always going to have gray up in the upper right-hand corner of this square. And then I literally web these together too. There we go. See how fast that goes? Isn't that good? You save, not only do you save thread when you web things together, but you also are assured that you have your blocks in the right order. There we go. So I just open up those two. And these blocks are so big, I don't even finger press them. I wait until I sew this next seam, and then I'll do all 4 seams at the iron. And it seems to work fine. There we go. So now I'm going to set the seams. Woohoo! How fun is this? There's that. And now I am going to stand up again, measure it, and then cut it into thirds. Hopefully you can still see me. So I need to make sure, yep, it's measuring 12.5 total. So if I cut that into thirds, that's about 4 inches and 1/8. So using my center here, I'm going to cut my 4 inches and 1/8 in the center into 2 inches and 1/16 on either side of the center line. And this would work really well if you have a smaller mat that you can turn, or a rotating mat, one of those that is literally on a Lazy Susan. So I'm able to easily do 3 of the 4 cuts. And then the 4th cut, the only way that I've discovered currently to do it is to put my fingers in harm's way, and I'm not going to do that. I could go all the way over here, but I end up having my fingers in the way. So actually what I'm going to do is go 4 1/8 in. And as they say, that's good enough for government work. So now, I don't know if you can see this. No, you really can't. Let's put it down here. See that? Excuse me. I'm still getting over this cold just a little bit. So now I put the grays inward. And then there. Oh, I love this. And the fabric like that. You see that? And now I'm just going to web it together. So with the layer cakes already cut, not using scrap fabric, think of the time this is saving. Because if you figure I'm only doing 30 blocks in the center, I literally, if I can do 4 an hour, let's say even 5 an hour. That's literally 6 hours. I could do this. So this could be a quilt in a day, really. If you just needed a project. A satisfying project that you don't have to labor over too much, that will have really good results. Will it be 100% unique? No, but that's okay. I've discovered that I'm definitely making more quilts to use than ever before, and they wear out. I tend to wash them a lot because of the dog. So, which you all know. In fact, the two-tone delight there, the brownish black one that I made, because we have the Black Lab Alley, is working out great. But this summer, I mean, we've already washed it several times, and this summer I try to take it off the bed and air it out. When I'm home, that is. What a summer, huh? So, I haven't told everyone about Charlotte. I've been to Charlotte and back since I saw you. I've had a birthday. I have finished my doll, the one that I made with Catherine Walmsley, and what else have I done? Lots of little things. Of course, working fills up the days, that's for sure. So I don't know if I mentioned that my mother went down to the Heath Hen quilt store with me today, or yesterday when I picked this out, yesterday. And she picked out the gray. So this is a joint effort, and I'm loving it. I also owe lots of shout-outs. Thank you to everyone who has been writing in. I know many of you don't watch this live, but during the weekend, and so all last weekend, again, I apologize, because of the technical difficulties, people went to try and find FiberCast, and it was nowhere to be found. I think we're back. Let's see. Trying to make sure the seams go the same way on both sides so that it'll iron flat. Okay, now we will cut off the dog ears. People ask me why I cut off the dog ears. I do it just to eliminate any unnecessary weight in the final quilt. You'd be surprised if you leave all of those extra little double pieces on. It does add weight to the quilt. I goofed here. I have a seam going 2 different ways. So I'm just going to snip it. All right, and there is another disappearing pinwheel. Let's put that right there. The only reservation I have with doing it all this same gray is that we're going to end up sewing 4 corner grays all the same. And that's a missed opportunity for variety. But that's okay. Unless maybe could we do, now watch, I'll really goof it up, you know. Well, maybe we could offset them. That is my mother's phone, but she's not home because she went to the Dairy Queen, so the answering machine will get it in a minute. Okay, we're going to keep those there. Look at the difference in those colors. This is going to be fun. Let's see, what color should we do next? How about this one? That's wild. Now I'm literally going to sew it, pin it together. Nothing like the end of the long week to put the sewing pedal to the metal. We had a fun experience yesterday. After we went to the quilt store to pick out this fabric, we took a ride up to Menemsha, to Larson's, and I had been up there yesterday. Oh, hold that thought, hold that story. I have to show you this. I love that fabric. it's very, is it William Morris looking? Oh, I love that. Anyhow, we went up to Larson's and we got ourselves some lobster bodies. For anyone who out there eats just lobster bodies. It's poor man's lobster, or poor woman's lobster. And it's just as delicious, and you can get quite a bit of meat from a lobster body. And you still get the flavor of lobster, and so we had that for lunch. It's not like the lobster rolls I've discovered at the Grace Church down here. Did you know on Friday nights you can go to Grace Church and they'll sell you a lobster roll, or they'll sell you the makings for a lobster roll, including like this tub of lobster meat for one lobster roll. So of course, again, for the frugal fannies out there, you can take that one tub and you can spread it. You can put more celery in, you can serve it with more lettuce, you can add more mayonnaise, you could probably even add crab meat, although that would be a bummer. But you can stretch it and make a couple of lobster rolls out of one. And I noticed here the 1 to 1.5 pound lobsters, so the smaller ones, are $6.99 US a pound here this week. And last winter they were up over $10 a pound in our local supermarkets. Certainly not on the coast like here, but anyway, that was a nice treat. And like I said to my mother, this is an example of how quickly my days and my moods can change. Do other people have mood swings? These mood swings are enough to drive me crazy. So midday yesterday, after going to the fabric store, it was a beautiful day. It had been cool overnight, so we'd slept well. It wasn't too humid. We drove up to Menemsha. We got our lobster bodies. We had a lovely lunch. We even stopped and bought ourselves some potato chips to go with the lobster bodies. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Came out here, did my regular work. Then I tried to do a test run of the broadcast, a Google Hangout, and I could not get that thing to fix up. So anyway, the point of my story is, halfway through the afternoon, I was telling my mother, man, this has been a good day, having a great day, this is a better than average day, and then I had the computer problems, and I was exasperated. So if anyone else out there has days like that, I can relate. And the only thing to do is just keep plowing through them. Because, you know, I do believe, I may have said this before, I do think that my mind tries to solve, the mind, for a lot of people, tries to solve problems at night. So if I could not figure out the computer problem, and when I went to sleep, I really do think that your mind goes into another state, and it does. I think I relive the day. Probably, you know, I probably err on over-analyzing everything, but I think that in doing so, because I do know that I always think about tomorrow as well, so I'm planning ahead. But I do think that when I'm sleeping, for some reason I can work some things out. Not everything, but sometimes. It's true what they say. Things do look better in the morning. This first step is easy peasy. Okay, and I ran out of bobbin thread. All right. Get rid of that. Excuse me. Put that there. Okay. You can watch me change the bobbin on a new machine. Okay, there's that. And then I'm going to wind myself some new Aurifil. I was going to change over to Gutermann, but I have enough Aurifil for another bobbin, so I'm going to do that. Fortunately, I have a picture right on the top here of how to load my bobbin. That's good. And there she goes. It's working. Did I mention these are Amy Butler fabrics? It's her Violet Free Spirit charm pack. There were 30 pieces in it, not 42 like some of the others. I almost bought the Tonga Batiks, and that had 42 pieces. And I believe Jenny's, her instructions include 42. I'm getting a nice smooth fill of this. So I think I'm going to stop right there. Okay. Now this also has a good picture for me. Okay. Okay, there's that. There we go. There we go. The threader worked. Now let's catch the new bobbin thread. Woohoo! We did it. Well, I may be a little premature here. Let me sew one more together. That's pretty. There we go. There it is. All right. I think I hear the Dairy Queen run has just come home. You hear that? They pulled around. Okay. So, I guess I'm going to do another one. And then we may be able to do more than 6 in an evening. Here we go. Just pop that along. And in we go. Hi, Mom. It's working. I'm on.
Good.
I'm on the broadcast now.
That's good.
Isn't that good?
Yes, it is.
See what I've done so far? 1, 2, 3.
And could you get Bob talking? I mean,
yes.
His worked?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked to him in the garage.
Good.
No news.
Yeah.
So he's doing fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. So we're doing 120 minutes tonight. Did you notice I did my hair?
Yes.
Thank you. How was the DQ?
Oh, it's always good.
What did you get?
Oh, the hot fudge.
Good.
Just small, vanilla,
Yum.
hot fudge. That's it. But it's,
Hit the spot.
it is, it's good.
Good.
Okay.
Bye.
What time? How much before you go?
So I will be done at 9. So an hour and 15 minutes.
No, I mean, it's 8:45 right now.
No,
I
it's
mean, quarter of
8:15.
8:45. I didn't know what the time was.
Yes. Yep. That's it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. I'm just going to send the dump, or just out in there.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Ben has been, my cousin Ben comes and gets the trash every Saturday morning. So Mom's going to go get it ready. Which has been such a big help. Speaking of which, KB, we have to pay $4 a trash can run, a filled trash can at the dump. So I think we owe Ben some trash fillers. See that on FiberCast? You get a little bit of everything. Okay. So that is plenty all sewn together. Now I'm going to stand up and iron. I hope you all are working on something fun. We'll try to take texts and emails starting at 8 o'clock on lmarquidant@gmail.com, or post any questions or pictures on Google Plus or Facebook. Send me pictures, send us pictures of what you're working on, and I'll share it. Or what you're doing out there, or how you're handling the storms, the flash flooding, the no electricity, the drought. See, so I'm cutting these into the triangles. Always making sure to keep your fingers out of the way of the cutter. No matter how long you've been doing it, you know that. It's just a good habit and practice. It's tempting to not protect your fingers, but then again, it really isn't, I guess. I hope I don't get these mixed up. You know what? I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to close my cutter. And let's iron these open. So I think I'm ironing toward the fabric. Oh, that's what Mom's doing. Do you remember the lobster I was telling you about? She's putting all the lobster bodies in the trash to make sure they go out tomorrow. These are looking fun against the gray. Okay, so there's 4. And then I'll do this while I'm right here. This is like the two-tone delight quilt. These squares are so big. Ooh, I forgot this one. We ran out of thread. And those of you who are watching closely might have seen me do that. There we go. Oh, here's one more. There, so that I don't get them mixed up. Oh, you can't see those. Okay, let's just put these here then. And now, again, remembering to keep my pinwheels going the same way. Ooh, that's a pretty one. Very cool. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Just think of how accomplished we're going to feel. 120 minutes of non-stop sewing and chit-chat. Might as well do a little chain piecing while we're at it. That's pretty too. We'll do one more, so we'll do 3 of these in chain piecing fashion. Okay, now I will cut, whoops, 3 apart. I sure hope this isn't a one and done episode on disappearing pinwheel. I hope Jenny Doan and her family out there in Missouri will be excited to hear that we're doing their quilt. There we go. Oh, I just heard a ding. Who's out there? Someone out there? Aww. It's my husband, Bob. And he just said, good luck, ice cream when you're done. Aww. I was lamenting about my webcast woes. I'm just going to write to him back unless he's on there. Hi. Thanks. It's been working for almost an hour so far. I think. All right. So it's 7:53 my time. Let's sew second pinwheel together. And at the top of the hour, we will do a recap of what we've done, and we'll welcome everyone who is newly visiting, newly watching. Even sure we've talked to each other since the Women's World Cup final happened. That was such an exciting game for those of us watching here in the States, of course. It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime things, really. You figure it had been 16 years, or who knows how long it'll be before the next one. It's pretty special for any country that makes it to the final. Okay. All right, there is 3 pinwheels ready for the iron. Cut off some dog ears while I'm at it right here. Okay. Stand up again. There's one. The grays, by the way, didn't come in a charm pack for me. I think in a perfect world, if there had been a second solids charm pack with varying solids, like varying grays or whatever, varying solids, that would have added more interest. But I'm liking this just as well. And the fact that I had to cut my own 10-inch gray squares is working out fine. Whew! Check this out. 1. Boy, you could just leave it like this. 2. 3. So, sorry about that noise. I think what I will do is again measure it. Yeah. About 12.5. This one is, this one's a little bit shy of 12.5. But it'll be fine. See, I can get 3 of them. And the 4th one. Just do like that. Move these over. So that one's ready to sew. That one's good. I even like the sound of the fabric being cut. And there we go. That, we'll put that there, and then I will cut this one, and then we'll have 3 to go at the top of the hour. All right. So, fun part, remember if we do this, it takes a while to get to this part. Now we have our 9 patches, and we twist the gray toward the center, and then the print toward the center for the corner squares. And we have our disappearing pinwheel. And then I'm just going to web it together. There, just apart, and it's 8 o'clock. So why don't I welcome everyone to the second hour of the Simply Colorful FiberCast. For anyone who may have just joined us, welcome. You can see it's working. And I'm sorry that we weren't here last week. We were having that issue in North Carolina and Charlotte, but we are making up for it. We're in 60 minutes, and we have 60 more minutes to go, and as we all know, FiberCast is just all about all of us getting together and doing something fun together for 60 minutes. Whether it's starting a new project, working on the disappearing pinwheel, thinking about cooking project or crochet or doll making, whatever you want to do, I'm glad that you've joined us. We're up to over 900, hopefully I think 974, maybe we'll hit 975 FiberCasters around the world so far. And the numbers are just going to go up from there because we all have a love of quilting and we like to have company, and that's what this is all about, is when we quilt, having people who like the same things. Speaking of which, I have lots to bring everyone up to speed on. I've held some things back during the first hour so I could share it with everyone on this second hour. But let's just for a minute talk about the disappearing pinwheel patch and how we got here and what we're doing. So, for those of you who might be new to FiberCast, we always do things to entertain ourselves, to entertain each other. We do mystery quilts, sometimes we do Quilt Along, sometimes I'm doing something just wackadoodle or different, and other people are sharing what they're doing. A few weeks ago we decided we would do a Quilt Along. Nothing fancy, we would just look for a couple of squares that or designs that we might have wanted to do in the past. We picked 5, we voted on them, we did a survey, and actually it was pretty even across all of the patterns, but the disappearing pinwheel that Jenny Doan does from the Missouri Star Quilt Company was the one that eked out the win, and so that's what we're making. Now, I have to tell you that I have written to Jenny and the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've asked them for approval. I'm not sure technically that we need it. We're pointing to Jenny's free video, which is available to everyone, and that's where the pattern is. It's worth the 9 minutes. You watch it, she'll tell you how to do it. I'm just doing it here in my studio, and I'm sharing it with you. And you're doing it in your studios, and you're sharing it with me. But out of courtesy, and because we do learn from our mistakes, right? And you know, we're all learning together about this World Wide Web and how to work together and respect each other's property and property, that I've sent them a note and suggested this is what we're doing and asked them if it was okay. So I'm waiting to hear back. Now, that said, of course, on the web, on Facebook, I said I was going to start it tonight, and so I have. Hopefully this isn't the last night of the disappearing pinwheel. So again, Jenny Doan, Missouri Star Quilt Company, go to see her video. I've put it on the Facebook page. Click on it. It's 9.5 minutes. She'll tell you how to make this. And this is the pattern. Disappearing pinwheel. It's a cool thing to make. You make it with 2 layer cakes. That's it. 2 42 block layer cakes of 10 by 10. I'm using gray, all gray for my one color, and I'm using Amy Butler's Free Spirit Violet layer cake for the alternates. This one only comes in a set of 30, so I'm only doing 30. So I'm only making her the 30 internal blocks of these. And I did buy extra gray, and we'll see what we do next, if anything, for a border. I do like what Jenny has done for taking the remaining 24 blocks. So for those of you who buy 2 layer cakes of 42 squares each, you're going to end up with 12 of each of the layer cakes. So 12 and 12, 24. And with that, she does a very cute border of, again, pinwheels around the whole quilt. So that's what we're doing for the second half. And I have already, what I thought I would do is go through the full process of making one of these blocks, and then I'll pick up from where I left off, and I'll bring you up to date on the NASCAR Hall of Fame museum that I went to. I'll tell you about Charlotte, and I'll tell you about the doll that I finished. And we'll take your calls and your virtual calls, your emails, your texts, Email me at lmarquidon@gmail.com or post on Google or on Simply Colorful, the Facebook account for Simply Colorful. And let's keep sewing. So let me back up for a minute, and I'll quickly go through the process of how you create this. Basically, take one block from each of your layer cakes, put them together and pin them. I literally have been using 2 pins, that's all. And then sew 1/4 inch all the way around the edge. Then when that's done, cut it into 4 diagonally, so that, and then iron them open so that you have 4 like this that you sew together to make a pinwheel. And then this is where the magic starts. Measure the size of this pinwheel. In my case, it's measuring 12.5 inches. Divide it by 3. For me, that means each of the 3 will be 4 inches and 1/8. 4 1/8 each. Then figure out from the center point here how much you need to cut on either side to create that 4 1/8 block. So what that means for me is from this center, I need to go 2 inches and 1/16 cut there, 2 and 1/16 there, there, and there, so that I cut this into 9 pieces. And that is what I am sewing together right now, and I'll finish it up and I'll show it to you what it looks like. I'm doing the webbing method so that all 9 pieces will be sewn together, and hopefully, since I stopped in the middle, I hope that I didn't goof it up. So really, like I was telling folks who have been on for a while now, I was truly exasperated yesterday with technology. I don't know if you can see this. So this is what I'm sewing together around the pinwheel. Anyway, I had come out here to the garage and I had fired up a test FiberCast, and it was working for about 10 minutes, and then we had host resolution issues, whatever the heck that is. And I could not get it to work. Turns out, I think it had something to do with my Wi-Fi booster, so I've taken that out of the equation, and so far so good. And that's why I started early tonight, because I figured that would give me a full hour to troubleshoot if I needed to. And I was just saying to my mother last night, if it weren't for my 900 and some odd followers, 974, I would just throw in the towel. I was so frustrated last night. But I am not going to let technology get to me. And so, slept on it, and was able to talk to my mother about it, talk to my husband about it, talk to my sister about it. Let's see, who else? I probably talked to the town crier about it, and then I slept on it, and I think we have a solution for now. So anyway, that's why we started early, for anyone who might feel as though they got gypped. They didn't, you didn't, and I haven't really talked about what we've done since we were together last. So I went to Charlotte, North Carolina. It was 100 degrees when we landed, actually 99 degrees. $99. I'm exaggerating by the 100. And I did a little bit of embroidery on my camper quilt. You'll be proud of me. And I've done a little bit of embroidery here on it. And we had a good convention. We were there with all of the county government commissioners from across the country. And we had some good discussions, a lot of discussions about personal privacy, cybersecurity. What is the fact that anyone can fire up a broadcast from the garage and talk to people around the world? What kind of exposures does that create? And connections does that create, both good and bad? And needless to say, I am of the philosophy that I guess of being fully transparent, and I'm taking risk. I'm out there. I am who I am, and I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I guess I have to trust and then verify. Trust until it's proven that you can't trust, I guess, is my philosophy. But it was a little suspect when within a couple of hours you had the either United Air or US Air, their computers went down, the New York Stock Exchange and the Wall Street Journal, all within a few hours of each other, the computers went down. Seems a little suspicious to me. So, this, after you sew the 9 together, is the end result, is your disappearing pinwheel. And now I'm going to cut the strings off and iron this one. And then I'm just going to keep going. I have I have pinwheels in all levels of completion going on here. For those of you who've just joined us, you can also see that I've broadened the camera angle so that I can stand up when I need to cut. That's new. I just thought it was a way that I could get more done during this time. And even though we probably can't see each other as well, I thought that would be good for both of us. I'd get more done, I'd feel more accomplished, and that is the scoop. So, there we go. Nice and ironed. So we'll put that there. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. And then we have several in process at different stages. So send me a text, send me an email. Who's out there? Oh, and another complication is that the phone may not work. Oh, before I go any further, though, Kelsey is over in Ireland with her family. Now, Kelsey was the one who went to Hawaii with her family last year and showed us her stash that she acquired, her acquisition from Hawaii that was really fun to look at. Well, this morning she sent something that is the coolest. She said, Blarney Castle has been yarn bombed. And here is a picture of the trees. I don't know if you can see that. I will post it online on the Facebook page if Kelsey says it's okay. Oh, and there's Chris Myers. Oh, she says hi. She says the space is great and so's the camera view. Thank you, Chris. I didn't know for sure. Did you see this yarn bombing that Kelsey saw? So cool. at the Blarney Castle. So she went to kiss the Blarney Stone for good luck, and she saw trees with yarn sweaters. Hi, Chris, and if Abby's there, hi. I hope the tennis went well. Chris has the long arm quilting business that I talk about. She also, in her studio, has acquired some new chairs. And I have to show you this. Tell me this doesn't look like a fun place to be. See those two red chairs? And all the fabric in the background? And her long arm to the left? Oh, and Jean Birchman says she can see me. Hi, Jean. Phew! Yikes. Great. Well, we're in business now. Oh, let me check my Gmail. Hey! Oh, Sue Norton says you started early, and Sue, I did. She says, looks like you started early. I did, and it's because I was trying to test the system and make sure it was working, Sue. So I'm so glad you joined. You didn't miss a thing. She says, here's what I've been working on this week. Lots of rain here, but sun finally came out. Oh, look at you. Amazing. 3 Dear Jane blocks. 3 more. Sue, you do 3 for every one I do. Those are great. All labeled like you always do, too. Way to go. Fred, welcome. Ooh, we've had some new people join us. Lara B., Sherry, Gabriel. Oh, and let's see, Teresa. Hey! Teresa says she's joining us live for the first time. She's in Ontario, Canada. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. So glad you're here. She says, Teresa says, I love Jenny's videos too and hope you can continue showing us the disappearing pinwheel block. Me too. Me too. And certainly we'll do whatever she and the Missouri Star Quilt Company want us to do. But I'm glad you like them too. And welcome to FiberCast. It's great to have you along. We have some other Canadian viewers too that are out there. I think I just heard another ding. Oh, Karen out in Pennsylvania, who helped me, who talked me off the ledge last night when we were having the technical difficulties. She says, I like the new wider camera angle. Good. I'm finally packing up my postage stamp pieces for the swap I joined. I'm looking forward to starting a new project. Mom's quilt is up next. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, I have to show people this. Look at you. These are 1.5-inch squares, right? I don't know if people can see that either. This is the only problem with the wide angle is I can't show people these squares or these pictures as well. Remind me, or I'm curious if you have found cutting out these 1.5-inch by 1.5-inch squares takes longer than you thought it did. I am always so surprised at how long it takes. Oh. Hey, Deb! Deb Linehan. Hi. Carol might be out there too, and she'll be glad that you're on. Hi. Are you quilting this summer? So Deb is a phenomenal quilter who works during the winter and has summers off, but she has a pool. And I bet there's some conflict there. Quilting, pool, quilting, pool. I think I would be in the pool a lot, I have to tell you, on these hot days. I'm so glad you're there. Okay, so let me get back to this. So glad that we can connect, everyone. It has been a while. And it's good. This is the time for vacations and for tennis dates and Dairy Queen dates. For those of you who just joined, you may have missed that my mother just came in and you had an audio. You heard her speaking. I can't get her in front of the camera yet, but someday. In fact, you know what we'll do? My husband Bob was going through pictures, and he sent down a picture of my mother. One Christmas, there's a picture of her standing in front of a full-length Afghan that she knit for us, and she's holding it up over her. I'm going to post that on Facebook so you can see my mother. It's a beautiful picture, and it's fiber related because she made the Afghan. Of course, I have to get her permission, but we'll try that route. Okay. Now I had another one of these already cut. All right. So, again, we turn the grays in. Oh, I'm so glad you all are out there. And I turn the corner fabric in, floral in. And then you have the Spring Nun Catch. Who's out there? Oh, KB says she's cutting out these 1.5-inch squares. She says, I do feel like it's taken all summer, just 50 sets of 50 different fabrics. That is a lot. But think of what you're going to get. How fun. You have to keep us posted on this. How fun. Ooh. Hey, Maureen in Pennsylvania. Maureen reports that she just opened her block magazine for the summer, and that is the Jenny Doan Missouri Star Quilt Company magazine, block, B-L-O-C-K, and it looks like the disappearing pinwheel is on page 80. Perfect. So anyone who has bought that block magazine has the directions right there. Thank you, Maureen. That's great. Let me go over to Gmail. Here we go. Oh, Eileen! Hi, out in Northern California. She says she's finally home to catch you live, and I started late, so went to the beginning. She says someone may have answered already, but if you put a ruler at the line you want to cut, and then butt the second ruler up to the cutting line, remove the first ruler and cut safely. Very smart! Okay, so here's what Eileen is talking about. Of course, I don't have a second ruler, but we can still demonstrate it. I'm going to do it on this pinwheel. So let me pull this apart, or put this over here. Eileen, it's amazing. You always have these wonderful tips, and I so appreciate them, you sharing them with us. So again, just as to go over this one more time, we want to cut this pinwheel into 9 squares, 9 even squares. And so we have to cut 2 slits down and 2 across. And that's problematic when you don't have a mat that turns 365 degrees, because you're always liable to be cutting into yourself, and you don't want to do that. So what Eileen is suggesting is, let's pretend this glass is my second ruler. So first off, let's get all 3 of the cuts that are easy for us to do, which is, this one's safe to do, right? This is 2 1/16 that way. This one's pretty safe to do, because I'm cutting away from myself. This one is even doable by just moving my body instead of the mat. Okay, but the 4th one, if I were to do this, the only way to cut it would be to cut back toward myself. See this? And I don't want to do that. Instead, what I believe the suggestion is, pretend this is a second ruler. Actually, yeah, pretend this is the ruler. And I go like this. and I measure it out 2 1/8 inches. And again, I don't want to go like this toward me, so then I take my second ruler and I butt it up against that first ruler. I take the first ruler away, and then cut. And I cut away from myself. So great tip. Thank you. And there we have another one ready to sew up. Wonderful. Oh, and Jean does say this is the perfect time for one of those rotating mats, isn't it? This is the perfect time. If you wanted to treat yourself if you don't have one. I know Joyce Morganelli has one. Didn't we give her one after, or she bought one after one of our last retreats? Thanks for the tip for that fourth cut. Deb says she's been quilting. That's great. That's great, Deb. Oh, okay. So Maureen in Pennsylvania says in the block magazine, the placement of the half square triangle are in a different place. Really? Wouldn't that be funny if I did it wrong? Is it supposed to be like that? Oh my goodness. Well, there are going to be different versions. I bet it's like that, isn't it? That's pretty funny. Well, so it's 2 different variations because I think her video is this other way. Anywho, I'll just keep going with that one. Fascinating. I like this too, though. Okay, let's turn this around. Okay. This in half. So what else did I want to tell you? Charlotte was good. The women's soccer team winning was good. My birthday was really good. It was this Monday, and it was a lovely day. It started out the night before with lobster, more lobster. There's a theme here. Bob took me out for a lobster roll, and then the next morning I met Jean, and she bought me breakfast at Freshwater. And then I had so many people check in on me and wish me happy birthday that it made the whole day special. And oh, and then I came down here to see my mother by the evening of my birthday, and my uncle surprised me with a homemade cake. How's that for feeling special? And I just heard a beep. Oh, good. Phew. Jean says that Jenny does have 2 patterns, and that we're doing fine doing it this way, and that the other way it has the churn dash pattern that shows up, kind of the secondary pattern, which would have been cool because then we could have hit 2 of the choices. But anyway, thank you. That's good to know. Ooh, and that one did not come together well at all. You know what? It's so bad I'm taking it out. You see that one? Really bad. Like off by 1/4 of an inch. It'll come out quickly. Let's see. So I've told you about, we've talked about soccer, we talked about birthday, we talked about Charlotte. I know what we haven't talked about, the doll. The infamous doll with the funny looking face that I'm very proud to say I've finished. And I will show her to you after I finish pulling this apart. Almost done. Oh, I'm so glad to hear from Deb Linehan and to hear that you've been quilting. That's great. To everyone else who's out there and who's been so loyal and sending notes, I really appreciate it. Really, we're getting to be a mass of FiberCasters that I can't remember everyone's name, which is terrible. But do know that we're so glad. I'm so glad you're out there. Maggie up in New Hampshire, I hope you're doing well. Anne. Cecilia. Let's see if we can get this done right. Oh, I see. Okay, here we go. No problemo. That. I'm even going to give it a little tack. I learned this tip from Carol Doak doing paper piecing. If you have a really tricky area that you want to match up, certainly trickier than this. I'm just kind of being lazy and I can't find my pin. You can take a little tack where you want the points to meet instead of a 1/4 of an inch, like 1/8 of an inch in. And then that acts like a pin so that then you can go and do the whole seam. There we go. There we go. We are back on track. Okay, so there's that. What were we going to do after that was done? Oh, the doll. Catherine Wamsley, the doll. I finally finished my version. Here she is. She's made out of paper clay, wooden dowels, epoxy, ribbons, and a sculpted face out of fabric. Oh, and her hair is wool from a sheep. And her hat is an acorn. And she's my version of Mary Lou's spring flower. So she's supposed to have flowers all over her, and her hands are made out of leaves. They're actually buttons, leaf buttons from Joann's. And I used paper clay to put over so you couldn't see where the holes were. And I learned about epoxy. Epoxy is an awesome tool because it really does hold things. In fact, if you were to pull this out, it would break the clay before it would break the seal of the epoxy. So it's really, really sturdy. But it's true what they say. When it says it's going to set up, it sets up, and then it's no good. So I got her all on except for her head, and then my epoxy was all sealed up, so I had to go to a different kind of adhesive. There. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going here. What is it we say? It's amazing how much we can get done in 60 minutes, and tonight, even more. Okay. There. I keep hearing about lots of new drivers out there this summer taking their tests. Good luck to them all and to the parents. Ooh, and speaking of driving, I think we may have some new car owners out there. That was so funny, Chris, when your car was being fixed. I don't know if other people have experienced that. When you take your car back to the dealer, it's actually a very smart sales move. When you take your car back to the dealer and you have it worked on and they give you a newer model of your car, you know, a couple of years newer, as a loaner. It's awfully tempting to upgrade. There we go. So now that is webbed together. Now I'll sew her up. This is fun. I was saying during the first hour that I'm really liking just starting with fresh, brand new fabric. It's almost like it's refreshing not to be scrappy. It didn't take me days to pick out the fabric or to have to iron it, wash it, and iron it, and then cut it up, and then start sewing. These 2 layer cakes were, in my case, 1 layer cake and 1 set of just plain gray that I cut into 10-inch squares. Was so fast, and it's really fun. I'm feeling a little hipper because the fabric is at least from this century. I even thought of Alexa when we picked out this fabric, Mom and I. Thought maybe she would like these colors. And this might be good in her cabin. I'm nesting the seams, again, just so that they match as well as they can. KB, I'm psyched that you're going to make Mom's quilt. Tell me if you need me to do anything, what you want me to do. I'm happy to do it. Because, boy, she needs a new quilt. For those of you, and she knows it. She has washed it so many times that it's falling apart. But it's so pretty. It's floral. She's had it for many years. So we're just going to fix her up with a new one. go. Yay! Look at that. There's another. Look at this one. I just heard a ding. Hang on. Check it right after. The floor out here is great to keep clean. It is a cement floor. And it's so much easier to keep clean than the carpeting. Who's out there? I hear some dinging. Ooh. Oh, how neat! So, Chris, who has the new red chairs, has just sent a picture of a hassock that she saw at Home Goods. It's a footrest, and that is adorable. I don't know if you can see that. It's similar to some of those other hassocks we've been seeing online. Oh, on Facebook, Chris. I'm kidding. They're made with like wedges of fabric. Tuffets, I think is what they're called. Tuffets. I'm sure you've seen them on Pinterest. Oh, I love that. Ooh, we could make you one of those. That is cool. I think I've caught everyone. Oh, I'm so glad everyone's out there. Okay, let's put this one aside. And let's sew this one together. There and there. Okay. Here we go. There we go. And we're off and running with our webbing. Here. There we go. See how it all just webs together? I have some funky biases going on here, though. Seems very stretchy. Okay. Has everyone seen the pictures? This is a little bit old, but I was just thinking of it. Of Prince George and the new baby, Charlotte, when she was christened on, was it July 5th? In that cute little embroidered top. Was it red? I think it was red. It was a white top with red embroidery, and then he had on the red shorts. I thought that was just so cute. He looked so royal to me. Okay, there we go. We'll have to stop and do the math in a minute and see how long we think this will take. I'm pleasantly surprised. Okay. That. I should be doing a leader ender, shouldn't I? I'd be saving a lot of thread, and I'd be getting a second quilt done. But, you know, I still have my my ball jointed doll is still in process. The one I started the last time I was here, out of the Sculpey clay. So I'll need to get back to that. But certainly this disappearing pinwheel should go for another couple of weeks. Because I'll probably just quilt it. Maybe I'll try quilting it with the brother. Depending on where I am. Or maybe the week that I quilt it, I'll be back in Hopkinton. By the way, I'm using my mother's iron here, and I love it. It's a Black & Decker, light and easy, and it's working great. There. So, we have 2 of these sewn. Oh, these 2 are sewn. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one really hasn't been done. Let me do one more here, and then we'll count things up. Kelsey's going to wonder what happened when she sees the colors I'm working with. They look very modern. Yoo-hoo! Okay. If I didn't say hello, hello to all the marathon quilters out there and all the textile tarts. Remember when we were doing this? The last time I did a lot of webbing was probably the Grand Illusion Bonnie Hunter quilt. Is that really the last? No, that's not true. That's not true at all. The two-tone. Yeah, we did our two-color Mystery Delight after that. Okay. There we go. Get this together. I hope everyone has been working away on their project or just unwinding from a week. Hopefully you've had some summer lemonade or iced tea. It's become dark out, hasn't it? Okay. There we go. And there's another block. So, as we round out our 120 minutes of FiberCast, which I have to say I'm so pleased that I was able to do this. Thank you all so much for joining, for being part of it. I feel like we've connected again. Send me emails, make sure to post pictures, and let's do a quick count of how much we got done tonight of our disappearing pinwheel. So 1, 2, there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 squares completed, and 1, 2, 3, 4 in process. Not bad for 2 hours worth of work. Thank you all once again for joining. We will do this next week, next Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Keep on sewing. Watch Facebook for any posts. Share your ideas, share your pictures, and have a great week. Do something fiber related and be creative. I think that's it. And eat ice cream. Bye, everyone.